There are many arguments for God out there, and we're going to be talking about a lot of them in this series of videos. But I've got to say that of all the arguments, I think the one we're doing today might be one of my personal favorites. And I also think it's one of the strongest. And that's Thomas Aquinas' argument from the distinction between essence and existence. This argument starts with the observation that things exist. And in these things that exist, there is a distinction between what they are and that they are. And the best way to show this is with a hypothetical. Imagine that you had never heard of animals before. You knew nothing about animals, nothing at all. And I described to you 3 different types of animals: a dog, a T-Rex, and a unicorn. But I didn't tell you which of these things exist and which ones didn't. So you are in a position now where you know everything there is to know about a dog, a T-Rex, and a unicorn. You can point them out in the street. Yep, that's a dog. Yep, that's a T-Rex. Yep, that's a unicorn. You know exactly what these things are. But you don't know which ones exist and which ones don't. You don't know, for example, that a dog exists right now and a T-Rex used to exist but doesn't exist anymore, and a unicorn has never existed. Just because you know what a thing is doesn't mean you know that a thing is. There's a difference, therefore, between what a thing is and that a thing is. Or to put it more technically, between the thing's essence and its existence. These are 2 really distinct, really different parts of a thing. And it's only when these 2 parts are connected that you have a complete thing in all the things we see. This raises a question, then. How do those parts, the thing's essence and their existence, the things what it is to be the thing and the things that the thing is, how do those come together? Because like we said, it's only when those 2 parts come together that you have a real thing. Well, there's a couple different ways you could try to explain it. You could say, for example, that the thing itself, the thing which has a distinct essence and existence, is itself the cause of its essence and existence being put together. This would mean, for example, that I am the cause right now of my essence and existence being together. But there's a problem with this understanding. And the biggest part of it is just that in order to give your essence existence, you would have to exist. I mean, you can't do anything if you don't exist, right? So you can't give yourself existence if you don't exist. So you would already have to exist in order to make yourself exist, and that doesn't make sense. So you can't be the cause of your essence and existence together because you can't exist until you put your essence and existence together, and you wouldn't be able to put your essence and existence together if you don't exist. So that explanation doesn't hold water. Okay? You could also say maybe that it's another thing that has this distinction between essence and existence, between what it is and that it is, which puts together your essence and your existence. And that makes a certain level of sense. I mean, after all, I exist today because my parents combined at one point my essence and my existence. They brought me into being. But the problem is, my parents did that like 20 years ago. My parents combined my essence and my existence. They gave me existence 20 years ago. But my essence and my existence are still combined today. That means that there has to be something else right now that's holding my essence and my existence together. Not my parents, because my parents aren't doing that right now. So what could that be? Well, maybe you'd say it's something else that has this distinction between essence and existence. Like the cells in my body, or my brain, or my heart, or the laws of gravity, or something like that. But the problem is, that just pushes the question back. Because those things must themselves, if they have this distinction between essence and existence, be held together by something else. And if the thing holding them together has the distinction between essence and existence, then it itself needs to be held together by something else. And then you have the same question there, and back and back and back and back. You have this kind of regress problem. And as long as that keeps going, you don't have an explanation for why me or you or anything else that has this distinction between essence and existence exists right now. Unless you posit the existence of something which doesn't have this distinction between essence and existence. Something that's just existence. That if it has an essence at all, the essence just is existence or to exist. This thing, because it doesn't have the distinction, doesn't need to have its essence and existence put together to exist. So we don't need to ask what's putting its essence and existence together. So this thing could put everything else's essence and existences together without itself needing to have its essence and existence put together. So it could solve our regress. But when we start thinking about what this thing would look like, we realize a few things. First, we realize that it couldn't lack anything, because to lack something means to not have some kind of existence. So in order to lack something, existence itself would have to not have some existence. But that doesn't make sense. How can you not have yourself? If your thing is just existence, you can't not have some existence. So if it can't lack anything, then any kind of real existing thing, it must have. So goodness is a kind of existence, so it can't lack any goodness. Power is a kind of existence, so it can't lack any power. Knowledge is a kind of existence, so it can't lack any knowledge. So it must be all good, all powerful, and all knowing. It also must be immaterial, since matter is a limitation on existence, and it can't be limited, right, because it can't lack anything. And it also must be not temporal, since time is a limitation on existence. It also must be one, because in order to distinguish two things, there has to be something that one of them lacks that the other has. And like we said, this thing can't lack anything. So there's only one of these things. That's just existence itself. So it must be the same one thing, existence itself, which combines the essences and existences of everything else, because everything else, therefore, must have this distinction between essence and existence. And if that's the case, then this thing is an all-good, all-powerful, all-knowing, perfectly existent, immaterial, atemporal, singular cause of all that is. And that sounds a lot like God.